Join me in the pledge of allegiance to call the meeting to order. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Amy, please note that all council members are present with the exception of Wes. Wes got a hold of me earlier today and told me that he couldn't get off work this evening due to having people on vacation. And spoke with council's legal attorney earlier in the day after consulting with Mark, and due to the travel distance that they've had, they are on standby via telephone if we need them. With the weather, I didn't want to have them out on the road trying to get back if weather did get back, so. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from last month's meeting? So do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I get a motion to second on the minutes. Those in favor? The next on the agenda, we've got the appropriation for the opioid. We'll do the restricted first as passed by the commissioners. We've got $50,000 for Recovery Cafe, $35,000 for Pathways, $22,549 for the Ruth House. Again, that's opioid restricted.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Is everything in order with their contracts and financials? Do you have that in your file? Everything's good? Okay, I'll second it. Go ahead, I'm
Any
sorry.
questions on the motion?
Last year's exit interview, there was a couple of them that recommended that they'd done something. Do you know, I don't want to remember who all it was, but did everybody get all their stuff turned in like it was?
Yeah, that's what Jeff was just asking.
Yeah. What we were
That's
told.
what I was making sure that was what was told.
What we were told in the JRAC committee meeting was that the JRAC would do the recommendation, give it to the commissioners, and then if somebody did not comply with the opioid policy, the commissioners would not
I
award
just
that
want to
one.
make sure, I think we got dinged on a couple of things last year, just want to make sure. Well, yeah, but I mean, whatever, recommendations, just making sure everything was in order.
We've got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Those in favor? Then next on the agenda, we've got the additional appropriation for the opioid unrestricted. We've got $9,444.99 for the Sullivan County prosecutor, $2,500 for the Hymera Library, $22,893.94 for the roof house, $4,650 for community corrections, $80,910 for the sheriff's department, $28,000 for the solid supervision center, and $12,500 for the Merritt Conference Center.
What is this Sullivan Supervision Center? Oh, here, I understand that name.
Yeah, we've had it every year. It's right back here behind, Katie Springer's office.
Oh, an old little, like that little building on the.
Yeah. I think Christina Hall is her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the building and I know Christina Hall's name, I just, it's.
I think before they probably like put it after her name, but, last couple of years it's been Sullivan.
That sounded like a new name.
Yeah. It throws you for a loop.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
I'll say.
Have a motion, is there any questions on the motion? Those in favor?
Amy, I have 2 copies of these, is anybody missing the ones for the books and stuff? Or is there-
I've got one.
Something different or?
No, like I said, like you contested.
Best that I could tell, it was the same, I just wanted to make sure.
You have to sign twice.
Okay.
Yeah. Then next, we've got the additional appropriation for highway. Terry, since you're here, would you give us a brief explanation?
Yeah. First of all the material, well, first, I guess I'll talk about our year-end balance at the end of last year. We had 2.947 million in cash and another million in investments. So we had a pretty healthy highway balance going into the beginning. Almost all of this stuff, stone and gravel one, the bituminous, the materials ones, most of that money was, we got a payment from the mine for a road closure last year. We got that put into funds, partially spent, but too late in the year to spend all that money where we wanted to spend it on roadways. It is from the mine for the road closure fees. So we're asking for that to be reappropriated, so we can get it on the roads this year. A couple of them are just, for example, we have a lease payment. Those lease payments, there's enough in a year in the line items to pay for the lease payments, but the lease payments come at odd times. There may be one that just misses the end of the year, and so you still got money left over, you meant to pay it, but might be in the middle of January, or the end of January. So that $14,000 appropriation is a carryover from last year also. I think the same with tires and tubes. The main new thing we're asking for again was, we bought a widener to be able to install shoulders on our new main building, or wherever. We really need a way to put down shoulders and efficiently equipment. And we bought that widener out of existing funds. However, when you think of a rolled shoulder, you think, okay, you just got a roll, flat shoulder, put down some stone, you can roll it. Yeah, you can do that if everything's flat. But if you've got a ditch there or very much drop there, you can turn a roller over if you're not careful. This piece of equipment is a roller and compactor that is on an arm attached to the front end of the tractor. So we'd like to be able to safely compact those shoulders in a lot of locations where you can't just run a roller up and down there without the risk of getting over 2 fire tons there. So that's what that piece is. And the other 2 requests are for our mechanics truck and our bridge crew truck. Those have hundreds of thousands of miles on them, or
got your bridge truck.
On
for
the lower
160.
line?
Yeah.
That is just showing, equipment money from last year, or rather, yeah. See where it says
Okay, you had,
twenty
okay, you
twenty-five
had
appropriation?
280 extra dollars.
Yes.
Jared, that third function for the loader, is that going on like a shared asset or one particular loader in the district that everybody's gonna share, or how's that?
The widener is on the District Two loader. We didn't want to bind it off.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had a centralized one, or if you was just picking like the newest one we had.
Yeah, it's the one big enough to put the widener. The compactor roller, it will go on a District One tractor front end that has to have it on.
There's the stone and gravel money, is that to be split up between the districts, or is that all rents money, or county money?
It's mostly District Two. Maybe should look at some of these, just as they can. Talking about police payments, stone and gravel.
Vicki, any questions for Jared?
I've got an unrelated question.
Okay.
I'm getting all kinds of questions from the community about the bridge out here by the golf course.
Okay.
I mean, that thing has been
It's
closed
actually,
forever.
it would have been possibly open tomorrow with the rain, it'll probably be Wednesday. They were putting in the guardrail today. I got a little bit of rail, of stiffener on the bottom, pedestrian rail, but the striping is the main thing.
And what was the holdup on that thing?
There wasn't a big holdup thing, I don't have the contract, I can't remember, the 100 days, 150, 110 working days. But that's 5 days a week, and then you consider, weather days aren't counted, holidays aren't counted.
That's
So
how you
100
get days, but it has been, that seems absorbent to me for a bridge to be open that long. I mean, I've had 5 people tell me they could have built a Legos faster than they built that thing. It's just taken, in my opinion, way too long. I've heard a lot of rumors that they didn't have all the stuff available when they started it, and then they had to wait on parts and pieces to come in, and if that's the case, that's unacceptable in my eyes, because you don't start a project unless you've got your stuff ready to go.
Yeah, I think a lot of those rumors come because
And it was all rumor, but
certain people stop by and they talk to a laborer on the job
I
who
believe
makes
that.
these statements.
But it just seems like when you have a main artery like that closed, and the state's doing the same thing to us on 48 and on the north end of the county, those things are just closed way, way too long. And then it's killing us on the local traffic that's going on the back roads, tearing them up. But it's just, in my opinion, it's just uncalled for how long it's taking to do these things.
Well, all I can really say is,
And I'm not pointing finger at you,
Oh, I know,
I'm just
but-
saying it's just way too long.
you can have them done when you want them, and you can have them done as fast as you want them, if you're willing to pay for it. That's the reason the state, it's the reason we have very little bridge money. If you allow a contractor to do a job as winter work, so it doesn't have to lay off a lot of these crews in the winter, you can get a much cheaper price.
And that also causes us to get stretched out a lot longer because of weather delays.
Yeah.
Just like what you just said.
Or there again, if you want to, if you're willing to pay the price and you can tell him, I'm gonna give you 60 calendar days, he'll gear up with the labor and he'll work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, pay him double time, whatever he has to do, but you'll pay for it. So that's, yeah, you can have it good or fast or cheap, so.
I think so.
I don't wanna say cheap, because
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with the bridge itself, but we have
But I just know that there's city streets now that are getting torn up
Yeah.
because of the traffic that's going, and it's getting bad, and it's not safe.
Yeah, so we have about the same number of bridges as Vigo County, and we got a 1/4 of their bridge fund. So we have to stretch it in any way we can. I take your point, yeah.
Jeff, I didn't know if you wanted to move forward on this, but I also have another question I'd like to ask.
You have a question to ask?
Oh, okay. Since we're in the dark, when is this industrial park gonna get started? Can you tell us anything?
You probably know as much as I do. I was involved with the attorneys and telling them what we wanted in the road use agreement. But once that's signed, as long as they're abiding by the road use agreement, they've not told me when to sign it. We have, I mean,
They never
there are
requested an
provisions.
abatement, so we can't ask them
Yeah.
questions, or?
There are provisions in there that if we think there's an unsafe condition, we can give them notice, 24 hours notice, and then correct them ourselves at their expense. But unless we think there's unsafe conditions, it's their road. Public can still use it, but it's up to them for maintenance. And we can protect the traveling public,
Okay.
but no control of their schedule.
Nothing.
Other than there are some provisions in there about working hours. I believe it's 7 to 7.
Go ahead, do we have any more comments on the appropriation ordinance at hand?
Make a motion.
Got a motion second, those in favor? Thanks for the explanation, Jerry.
Appreciate it.
And while that's circulating, just to acknowledge, we did have, or at least I had in my folder, I'm assuming it was in all of them, a letter from Mr. and Mrs. Luking that they had given to the commissioner requesting the Greenbrier Hill subdivision be paved. You know, Jerry just said we gotta stretch money as far as what we can, and the commissioners, at their, one of their meetings this month did acknowledge that request, and basically told Mrs. Luking they would take it into consideration during next year's budget. So, just to acknowledge the fact that it's in our folders.
Have you guys looked at that, do you have any idea what kind of money they're putting down this morning and repaying all that?
I have not.
I
I mean,
didn't know if anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about, and I have not developed cost estimate for
I
it.
just didn't know if you guys looked at, talking about it, had any idea, I'm just curious.
No, I don't have any numbers on it.
Does anybody have any old business they need to discuss? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to shed a little light on Jackie's question about the data center, or Heartland Industrial Park, sorry. So, that job was supposed to be done under PLA. They came into the commissioners, they stood in front of the commissioners, they stood in front of you guys, they stood in front of us as the building trades. Told us they were gonna do this project under a PLA. That did not happen. And your dirt contract,
I heard that was a
non-union.
rumor. I didn't know if it was.
There's an outfit out of Georgia coming to do all your dirt work. Found out today that the electrical part of the job is non-union as well. I would say it's gonna be 100% non-union with no local folks. Just to give you an update. So, we have a major problem. And it's gonna become a big battle. Just to shed a
Did they
light.
sign a PLA?
Since you asked, I thought I'd.
Did they sign a PLA, Vince?
No, they would not.
They did not sign.
They told everybody they were going to. We drafted a PLA, met with them multiple times. PLA was never signed. They hired a non-union general contractor, and that non-union contractor already had contracts with the all kinda got live.
I can't speak for the rest of the board members here, but I know they have several phases. And if they come in thinking they're gonna get an abatement on one of those phases after they just pulled this, they better look somewhere else.
So,
That's just how I feel.
I just wanted to make you aware of what's going on and give you what information I
What?
have.
Are you guys laughing at me down there?
No.
No.
We'll do,
They,
when did you, this week, this past meeting, is that, that's all we've done?
What's that now?
This past week, this past commissioner meeting, is this when you learned all this?
No, I've known about the dirt work on and off for a couple of weeks, and then today I found out about the electrical work. So the last two meetings we've had with the contractor, they told us the electrical work and the mechanical was all going union. Today, that's not happening. So I wanna say that, there's probably zero union work on this project at this time. It's been.
Terrible.
We also have any good news?
I got good news. I don't.
Give us some good.
It's bad. So I've been talking to the DLGF on the solar in Fairbanks. And evidently these solar units does not know they're supposed to file with the state. They're supposed to do a UD 45. They have not. The only ones energy-wise has been Duke Energy in 7 districts within our county. The county assessor needs to do a personal property form 103. Hasn't been triggered yet with the state. They said they see it in the news, but they said they don't see solar in Fairbanks area. So they can't tax them until it's been triggered. And somebody needs to let all of these solar people know, Invenergy, NIPSCO, all of them. They gotta file their paperwork with the state. And the state says they may have to go back and file. What's that, Amy?
it's not the first company, they do better.
Yeah. Well, this is what they said. DLGF said that our state does things differently. And they may not have known that they have to file with the state.
Michelle told them a while back, a long time ago.
Well, they said that they'll have to go back and pay. So they've been,
You guys gave them an abatement.
we can pull that abatement. But I think
Well,
they
they
need.
don't owe it because you gave them an abatement.
Yeah, but they
And
still.
it doesn't, the abatement doesn't start when they finally file the paperwork. The abatement's like started now.
Yes.
No, they haven't filed their paperwork, the abatement's starting now. So next year, it's, yeah. Now, the state was already aware of it, Jason Simler and
Yes,
the
I know
ambulance was
Jason.
all solar companies, but,
But they said when they pulled up, they see no solar.
no. So name's not listed anywhere.
Where are the tax statements on those going? On
They
those
didn't
properties?
file.
They need
The properties,
addresses.
the properties.
What's that?
There isn't
Yeah.
any yet, that's what Jackie's saying, nothing's been filed.
They have no
Nothing's been
addresses
generated.
for any of this
Well,
solar,
because
so when they
the
pull a plane
landowners
over.
never changed,
Yeah.
because they're just under a lease. So I would question, are the landowners still getting those tax statements on that property, and how is it being taxed?
Agriculture is supposed,
Is it-
they're supposed to pay their taxes. Anything above that is commercial solar, and the solar company's supposed to.
I would recommend, if you wanna know, contact Michelle, your assessor,
I've
and
already-
ask her to come in and explain
I
it to you.
In my
I
opinion.
mean, I know this, that Sullivan City did here last week, and she was tickled to death, because to stop all the rumors.
Okay, I'll reach out.
I mean, ask her
I'll
to
reach out
grab
to
it.
her.
I've already called her, and.
Yeah, but she'll be more happy to come and explain it to everybody.
I would talk to her about it and try to help her through this, and somebody needs to alert her. And if,
Or who, the solar company?
yeah, and if they
Deanne was
have
supposed
it,
to 4 months ago.
See,
yeah,
I think this all falls to two people. It goes to your assessor, and it goes to redevelopment. Because redevelopment drew up the agreement for the abatements, they were the ones responsible for that.
22.
And then your assessor's the one that's responsible for those taxes. So those
Not
two,
state assessed, not a utility.
yeah, but she's the only office in this building that's got anything to do with local property taxes. And those two groups need to be held accountable for what's going on that.
On those solar leases, though, does the landowner still have to pay the ag rate?
They have to pay the agricultural value, and then,
So they,
the solar company pays
nothing
it.
would change with the landowner for them to be
how are you guys currently doing cell towers within the county?
No idea.
I mean, these are.
They're
no
state
different-
assessed,
Hmm?
they're state assessed, they filed their paperwork.
We
No,
don't
I'm
know.
just saying is, because the
You can't
landowner
see it.
pays, the landowner pays whatever they've been paying, but then that structure is taxed.
Assessed from the state.
So that would be no different than these solar panels.
Would not be,
So how are you currently, just do it like that?
oh no.
Contact your assessor.
Just, we met with Michelle, I was at the executive session meeting, she's anxious to come and talk to groups. She was more than helpful. City was concerned because we have some new developments in the town, in the city, and we wanted to be sure we captured that. So, she was most helpful, and we had a really good meeting with her. So she'd love to come and talk with you about that, so. But the way those leases work, we've done some, they typically, the tax goes to the farmer, and it gets broken down into two parts, and then the solar company's supposed to reimburse the farmer. But he's got the one.
It depends on what their leases are saying.
Depends on what
That's the way I was told.
Yeah.
Did you, how was your understanding?
Depends on the lease.
Everybody's lease is different.
Yeah, everybody's lease is a little
Oh, okay.
different. Yeah, but mine's set up to where the farmer pays an agricultural value, and then they're supposed to pay the county the assessed value for the commercial property value of it.
That's what I just said, wasn't it?
No.
No, you said that it works out with the farmer. He doesn't have anything to do with the landowner. He pays, they would pay the commercial value at the assessor's office.
I mean, I
He
can,
just pays the other company.
They pay the
It
difference.
depends
County's
on the
supposed to
lease.
pay it, whatever.
Right, that's right.
No reimbursement.
And there's a cell tower coming in too, I'm familiar with, down south of town, by the way, since.
You need about 5 more.
Down by Caddy Corner, yeah, I think more, that's the only one I'm familiar with at present time. But you're right about the economic development too.
Yeah, they're the ones that drew up the agreement on the redevelopment, drew up those agreements, yes.
What happens if they don't pay their taxes, like the solar company doesn't pay their taxes?
we pull their abatement. That's all we can do.
So can
Well,
I
if they're not paying it,
can I buy a fleet of solar panels for $1?
You could own a solar field, I guess, they'd go tax sale just like anything else would.
But it'd be 7 years before that happened,
Yeah, if you wanna own one of them, I'd say go ahead, at your own risk.
I know some companies in Michigan that filed bankruptcy already left the farmer,
Right.
you know, so,
That's
there's been some
the
issues.
scare on all of those things. The good thing about a lot of the solar companies that are in the county, they're major multi-billion-dollar companies. Most of them are. Now, there's not all of them, but there's most of NextEra, Invenergy, Deriva, they're multi-billion-dollar companies. They're not going to file bankruptcy on it.
So,
Should not.
so these companies, they have their decommissioning agreement and their decommissioning bonds set up?
Yes.
So when they don't pay them,
That should be in place. But again, that gets back to redevelopment as part of the agreements that they had when they set up the agreements.
So
I know that there was questions on who had paid what money and where the money was at.
That's why it's important for us to have an extremely strong redevelopment commission in place now because of all of the large corporations that we're doing business with now, that it's gotten to where it's gonna take experts in the field to man that as opposed to just you on board. And I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but these are very complex issues.
There's
There's a lot of
corporations, I
money
think
going
are all
into it.
Delaware corporations, and there's 4 reasons, I'll take about 2 seconds to tell you.
It's because
For
of
Delaware, everybody's
protected.
because of 4 things you can incorporate one day out in Delaware. I've dealt with that for 50 years, there's more Delaware corporations. I think, why does everybody go to Delaware? What's because? 4 reasons. You can do it in one day, they're real friendly to the corporations out there on the taxes, so that's great. They also have a board of directors that's anonymous, you can't call out there and find out who's running the show, the investors. And then the 4th reason is if you sue them, you've gotta go out there and they have like a magistrate court, so you deal with the in-house magistrate court in Delaware. So those 4 things makes it real easy for corporations to insulate themselves. So that's just a comment on the legal part, and I may be wrong, but that's my understanding of Delaware.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other old business? Anybody bring any new business?
I'm gonna,
Yes, sir.
okay, what are you guys' take on this here, bond that was just being issued by the data center? What's your take on that, and how are you planning long-term if this fails? Because Google has already said that they've already got a backdoor out of the deal if necessary. What do you guys have on, say on this?
So there's lots of questions.
And that's my question, now that we've seen they've already lied to you once, because I've seen that this here bond is, what is it? 5.7 million bonds. Part of the selling point is that the county and the state are gonna give them some type of tax incentive and abatements. That's part of the selling of the bond.
Unless the state's doing something, they haven't come and talked to us for anything like that. So-
Well, they said the county as well, was stated in.
Well, that's the Google answer, but they haven't.
That's
been
what
here
the
that
bond is.
We know of.
That's how they're selling these bonds to these investors next week, or coming up.
And they're obviously not being truthful there because they haven't come to the county.
We haven't seen them in
Well,
one council
again,
meeting.
my question, you know, because this is gonna stem back to the question I've asked the other members, is they've said they've been talking to the council for several years. And then they say, you know, this has been going on since 21, which I think with redevelopment this may have been. But I'm just really getting concerned because there's so many players. Because Potentia, which is a UK company, is involved. You now have, Heartland out there doing it, but they're gonna lease that back to Fluid Stack, which then's gonna turn it over to, what is it? Fluid Stack then gets involved with Google, which Google's invested with Alphabet. And how are you guys keeping track of who's gonna be responsible for what?
It's all between the landowners, we have no zoning.
I mean, there really isn't anything.
Well, what I'm saying though is if something gets violated, who do you guys intend to go after?
It's no different, a bond issue is no different than somebody mortgaging their property. That's what it is, it's debt finance. A bond issue is no different than a mortgage on a house, and we don't have say over who mortgages houses in here any more than we do in terms of.
I see this as a potential Lehman Brothers disaster.
Could be, I mean.
And I'm afraid this all going, so how's this council, you know, we're seeing all this money that's gonna be coming in probably for the next 5-10 years. There's gonna be an influx of money. How have you guys set your 10 and 20-year plan with this money?
Nobody's talked to us.
You have
We have no plan.
no
You know
plan.
more about it than I do. For real.
Well, I'm just looking at this thing here, you know, they've already kicked you 50 million, they've given another 4.5 million for charity.
Well, they haven't given us 50 million.
It's in 4 payments.
Yeah.
In 4 payments.
Yeah,
But they
but
pledged
this
that
is
they
money
said,
that they're telling you they're gonna give you.
Yes.
But is it gonna be like this here and
Exactly. Right now, no money's changed hands.
not a dime's come through yet?
It's just,
Talk.
can't keep promises, I guess you could say.
Yeah, well, obviously.
If we gotta base it off what he's learning.
I would question, I don't even know for sure that the land has changed hands yet. Does anybody know that?
Yes,
It has, the deed's transferred. Okay.
so much.
So that you,
No.
the way I look at it a little bit, and I may be too simplified here, is that those types of corporations are overseen by the federal government more than they are local government. And the EPA is going to be all over that situation, I guarantee you, because of what all they're doing. They're gonna affect our water a little bit, they're affecting our electric rates. And if anybody thinks that the EPA is not actively involved, would probably be mistaken, because EPA looks at a lot of businesses, and they come to my place once a month, EPA does. And so somebody like that, they'll have somebody on staff out there working on EPA. So I think you've gotta have some level of confidence that there will be an overseer there that's going to keep it from turning into a environmental disaster.
But we've already seen environment where EPA's been involved. Michigan and the lead. EPA was watching over that. Trump's already tried to put in certain things to weaken the EPA.
Oh, yeah.
And they're already approving, since these are closed systems and they're pulling out of an aquifer, saying, oh, well, we're just gonna cycle that water through, we're not really affected, it's just cooling it, and we're gonna dump it right back into the aquifer down in Texas. Would you wanna drink that water after it's been cycled through?
We don't even drink the
Well,
water
say that's
here
where the
now.
health department, EPA is gonna come in, because a closed loop system
they're saying it's okay in Texas already, and that's EPA there. So that's gonna happen here as well. But long-term impact, you know, I'm afraid we're gonna end up on the short end of a very long stick.
I think the state is very much involved in what's going on. They have
Absolutely.
been saying for years, Indiana cannot grow without Sullivan County. So I think they're very much in our business, and all eyes are on us. But the local government, we'll have to.
Well, this is where, you know, it's gonna impact us, and the only way that we can fight back is through our local government, step up the state government. And I'm just afraid that with all these potential players, UK, bond investors, I'm sure BlackRock is gonna be involved in this somewhere.
They'll be involved.
There's no doubt in my mind. We know what they are. And how are you guys prepared for this?
No, zoning, I truly don't know how much we can really even get involved, even if we end up.
No, there's limited that.
That's it.
But I guess what I'm worried about is, by the time this probably happens, some of you guys may have done the cycle through another election.
That's the bad thing about these projects.
And I
It's
didn't-
gonna
None
cost
of,
us.
none of us may not be sitting here when that happens.
Well, no, they're already, like I said, they're already moving, they plan on have put in the bond issue.
No, I mean,
By the
when
end of
we-
'26, they're gonna have stuff going on.
When we end up on that short end of the stick.
Oh, yeah.
And the
We've
contracts
likely
have
been
been in
those.
place for many, many years, long before many of us even got on board. We didn't know anything about it.
Some of the places that are asking for abatements from us start asking for abatements to start in 31. And, I mean, I have been very opposed to voting on anything that's going to start in 31, when I'm not even gonna be in office in 31. This board will almost completely turn over by 31.
We don't wanna vote in somebody's a mess, potential mess for the next group, you know, and
I mean, I'm just trying to think, you know, how, again, I know, in my businesses, my life, I've always had 5, 10, 20-year plans. Have you guys even begun on establishing anything like that? And with this potential income and the effects on the accounting?
I think there should be meetings with all the town presidents, the city of Sullivan, and this whole plan of growth that is about to happen. We need a plan.
Again, I'm back to property right owners, because I already know where another data center has a high possibility coming in already.
Yes.
And there's gonna be, I would say, I've heard 7 minimum. This here bond is for actually, is for 2. So I'm just, like I said, I'm here just asking questions to this board.
we've asked those questions too, we just haven't found answers.
I hope you guys can
We're
come
digging,
together.
we're digging, but we
It
can't,
doesn't-
we have no rights over anybody's
No,
property.
I agree with the right thing, and
And
not for zoning.
You don't want me telling you what to do with your backyard.
No. But, you know, you do still have like the road agreements,
Yes,
the decommissionings, and things of that nature.
yeah.
And the
that's on-
assessments.
And that's on the commissioners to get that right, on that bond,
But you guys are the fiscal aspects
yes.
of how things are going to be.
Well, and on some of that stuff, and you're mentioning, some of those, that is the trade that we as the county get when we give them a tax abatement. We've got a lot of people that are anti-abatement, but that is the only way that we have in Sullivan County to put rules on these guys. In a lot of cases is when we give them the abatement, that's what they give us in exchange for. Now, in a case like this, when they come in and they don't ask for an abatement,
Yeah.
it does limit what we can do. And as far as, you say we've got this potential income, what's potential income? I don't spend potential income.
Well, some
When the
people
check,
do.
when the check is in the bank, then we'll decide what we're gonna do with it.
And again, I don't know how much you've been working, know about what that, but there's also been mentioned in the bond is some TIF districts being formed. What do you know about those being formed?
Again, that would go through redevelopment at a later date,
But you guys have anything to do with TIF?
not until everything's written up.
But, so you know nothing about it at this stage?
Not at this stage.
Not yet.
We would do final approval of
Okay,
what's one is.
because that has been mentioned with the bonds, there will be some TIF districts.
Well, and the thing is, the state could come in and tip it before we even get a chance to tip it. We don't know.
what does your representatives from this part of it, from this county tell you?
Have you ever seen him at a meeting?
I had to ask. That was a little satire there. That's all I had.
That's it. Anybody else have anything?
So on this data center thing, they do have an air permit, like the EPA has issued them an air permit, but they don't have a water permit, which is what's gonna determine how much wastewater and junk in their wastewater they can discharge out of whatever. The last council
They should
meeting.
have to have a water permit before they start ripping all those trees out and moving.
So
them.
actually, that's gonna be, that's a different permit than a NIPD's permit, it's gonna be two different permits there. So, they don't have a stormwater permit, which is gonna be different than their wastewater permit, which I would assume they need a stormwater permit now, since they have done some sort of runoff situation. But they don't have any of this, like, so then I asked, commissioners what's their plan on their wastewater and who's dealing with that, like who gets to determine that, and they told me IDEM. Well, IDEM has not sent a NIPD's permit. So they are either gonna have to build a wastewater treatment plant out there, or they said they want sewer.
They
Where's
originally
it
talked about,
going?
the first time I heard them talk was, they said something about sewer, we were pretty sure that would not fly. They couldn't figure that.
And actually, that's kind of what we've been hearing for many years from the redevelopment, is that we don't have the sewer, we don't have the water, but evidently now we do.
I don't know, but that's also what was discussed, I know in one of the meetings was that they were gonna use part of the $50 million to put up a wastewater treatment plant out there, but I don't know what's happened with that.
Well, that was the original agreement, because that was my question, and got it all rolling. And originally, they said they were gonna give us some money and put in a wastewater treatment. And then, when it came down to the final end, there was talk about putting in lift stations and sending this stuff to Carlisle.
Carlisle's the only one that has.
Prison or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, at that point in time, the wastewater treatment plan went away, and they were just gonna lift station and shoot it somewhere else. It could've changed 10 times since I heard that, and that was only 2 meetings. worth of
And just for transparency, I got to say, in the 2 last meetings before they announced at a phone call, he was on the phone call, he had nothing.
I figured out they're very selective on who they tell what to.
Yes.
So I'm having to assume, you know what that means, it's gonna be piped to Carlisle.
But I don't know about this department. I know
That one's not.
that was, but there is another meeting
Yes.
about, they are, 2 years ago, they came to Carlisle about wanting us taking their sewage and providing them water and cooling water. And they had an executive meeting, and I don't know what else has happened out of that one.
That's the thing, they said they've been talking to everybody for years, but about a year and a half or 2 years ago, there was 2 or 3 data centers that come in here and met with us and told us these big things, and we didn't believe most of it, and then it all went away, so we assumed it wasn't gonna happen, because we didn't have water in the sewers, that's what we heard for years, and then all of a sudden they're here.
They've arrived.
I don't know if it's one of those things, because you never get a company name. It was just.
Well, the company names change like you change underwear.
Yeah,
And when they get a hold of us, they say,
changed
we'll
twice.
talk to you, but we can't tell you who you are. So,
Like I say, you got Potentia, you got this lease backs, I wanna build it in Heartland. And, like I say, and that's why I'm afraid, Sullivan County's gonna get lost in the shuffle when something comes up. Guess who's gonna be holding the bag?
Well, I know we have the home rule here, that we should have say in what happens in our county, but it seems like someone else is taking control from
Well,
us.
to me, it seems like Sullivan County, again, I'm a person, I like to be proactive than reactive. And I would think, yes, EPA is gonna be in here, IDM, wetland, everybody's, big government's gonna have somebody's finger stuck in there. Who do we locally have that's gonna be kind of overseeing it from the local aspect to contact these agencies when it fails? or appears to fail.
I guess
The Board of Health will have to be the ones that contact EPA, basically, that's how. And
Have we assigned,
I'll give you a little more insight, they plan on doing leach fields out there.
That's what I heard, doing a septic system. What kind of an industry is a septic system?
Well, that's not good. It's a closed loop system, they're done on a daily basis. They do a blow down, blowing out, dark, nasty sludge full of chemicals.
And I
And
told
that's
them,
why I raised Cain saying we needed a wastewater treatment center, and they agreed to it. And then it went away.
That's what needs to happen,
It does.
to have an industrial park that other people are going to come to and bring, because they don't have the capability of containing the sewage. You're never going to land a factory out there that's gonna bring 800 jobs, because they're gonna have to build it themselves. So the Heartland Industrial Park, if these guys have as much money as they say, they should be the ones responsible to build the sewage plant, and then you can draw and attract other people afterwards.
well,
Like I
They're
said,
talking leach fields, and so far, everything they've fed the redevelopment, the commissioners, the council, and the public, all lies.
Finally, somebody's
It's no
acknowledging
fault,
that.
it's no fault of any of the three government agencies. I mean, they pulled the wool over on the Building Trades Council, they pulled the wool over on everybody, so it's gonna be dog eat dog, I can tell you that right now, and it's gonna get bad.
well, like I say, Sullivan County has a few million to fight them, they got billions to fight you. So,
We have the million that they gave us.
yeah.
As I said, I was just saying, I've not seen $1 million yet.
No, no, we have the money that they gave us to fight back, that's,
yeah,
I'm just concerned, that's what I'm looking for from every aspect, each branch. How proactive is Sullivan County gonna be? Or are we gonna wait till something happens and try to be reactive?
Well, I think the question to that even we are still learning is, how proactive can we be?
As much as you like.
well, we don't have zoning.
No, you don't have to have zoning, but you can have people, what I call watchdogs.
well, we have, let's put it this way, as of right now, or as I know, unless I'm in the dark on it, it could be possible, we do not even police our soul.
No,
To know that we're using local business and all businesses and all that stuff. So that has to be set up, and this is gonna be a huge process. So, like you said, we gotta be proactive, and we gotta have some policing that's going
Yeah, it's
on.
gotta
And that's
be.
gotta be set up, and it's not set up.
There is something, Matt, that, I can't remember what meeting I was at, that was brought up, okay, that's what I was thinking.
Is it set up yet, or?
It's not set up yet, but it's being talked about pulling together a committee.
But it's,
Well, I was there when we were talking about
but
oversight.
it's gonna have to have people that know the project and know what they're doing. It's hard to stick somebody on there that doesn't know anything that they're
Well-
required to do.
And that's why I said, right now, we're talking about it.
I mean, it's my understanding there's a lot of wetlands out there. Okay, that falls under DNR. What does DNR have to say about this one? Have you got a letter from them saying that they've approved this?
No, I haven't even talked to them.
Why not?
They gotta get they should.
They
have to
should.
go through the Army Corps of Engineers to change any kind of waterways or the flow of water.
and they should have done that before they cut down the trees.
That's exactly right.
And has anybody followed up? Has anybody contacted and said, hey, you know, we, as a council, have never heard anything, what you could supply us that they've done? In other words, throw up a red
That's my
flag.
question, is that the commissioner's job, or is that the council? Because we're the fiduciary, is that the commissioner, or is that the redeveloper?
Jeff's already brought up the
Do you know?
engineer department needs to expand, nothing else to help oversee it. We did that in Hymera, we hired a local guy to watch their new sewer treatment plant expand, and we used an operating engineer to oversee it, we paid him extra, it was very valuable, but Jerry's department needs to expand, and Jeff brought it up, to oversee this whole thing, you're gonna have to get somebody who knows what they're doing.
No,
So
they
like
think
you
the
said,
agent of the agency of the county that's.
I would agree, that's where I think it should start, but since they don't have any legal document with redevelopment, I think there is the Wild West thing, go do what they wanna do.
since they didn't come from abatement,
I think your hands are tied.
Well, I can tell you from what, like I say, I was involved in the roads and surveying, but the commissioners have Barnes and Thornburg,
Yeah.
you know, one of the preeminent law firms in Indianapolis.
Right.
And they are saying that the only hold you have on them is a road use agreement,
Yeah.
and that is a very tenuous hold.
Yeah.
That you guys did about as good as you could have done negotiating money wise. Says it's no different, you can't tell them, you can't use this property you bought or leased for what you wanna use it for, because we won't let you drive on the roads.
Yeah.
It just won't fly with you.
Right.
So there, any hold we have on that is tenuous.
I agree with that.
But you try to use the federal government to your advantage as much as you can.
You gotta call DNR and say, hey, did you
Yeah,
go this way?
again, I know down in Carlisle, there was some things that were done that weren't within the aspects it should be, but, oh, it's a small town. Except one person called IDM and filed a complaint. IDM come down there 2 or 3 times and,
Become a big project.
and then, yeah, it didn't become a serious issue, and, now they're, let's put it this way, there are now a bid out to clean up the trees versus burning them out by the wastewater plant
Well, I
because of
guess-
IDM.
And not to interrupt you, but I guess, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm a simple country guy. But to me, you just answered your own question, and you knew the answer all along. If someone from Carlisle called IDM and got all this started, all you have to do is make a phone call to any of these people that you've already mentioned personally, and you're gonna have it started as a citizen of Sullivan County.
Yes, but I don't know, I would rather have somebody who's an engineer, who knows it. That's not right. I'm not an engineer, so what do they do?
Are you an engineer? You an engineer? How about you?
That's why I'm saying, you gotta have people, that's why I'm saying, proactive versus.
gonna come from?
Well,
We gotta raise these taxes to pay for it.
well, I'm just saying that, instead of being reactive, you're proactive. When you see it, you make the phone call. Again, not my area of expertise. I know my little wedge of life. But there's people out there, that's what they do. And it's just like, you know, if I see something going wrong with the road, I know if the road's collapsing off, I know to call state, I know to call the county, because I know the difference between a state and a county road. But do I know somebody, what goes under the bridge? How much steel has to be there to be safe? Not me, but there's people, that's what they do. That's called inspectors. This is where Sullivan County should be proactive with the 3 branches coming together. Say, we need somebody who, 2 or 3 people, that's what their job is, to stay on it.
Okay, but when we put together our budget last year, probably we don't have enough money to pay the people we already have. I mean,
No, but,
No.
I don't think it has to be a full-time, but I
But
think
if
it
we can
would.
already pay the people that we have, you're wanting to suggest more, but I guarantee you, if we take and we have a meeting that we're gonna raise some kind of taxes to pay for these people, we're gonna pack out the courthouse, the fairgrounds, and anywhere else we want to, people protesting any kind of a raise in taxes.
You might be surprised my thing is, and this has been what I told council when I promoted some of it, transparency. If you are transparent to the public, you explain the why and the what and the why, you explain all this out to them. They swallow that a lot better than, hey, we're just gonna raise taxes because we need something. No, transparency goes a very, very long way.
Well, I also feel like there needs to be transparency in government, that's not.
I've given up on that.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what I say, is you may not have it, but I think you're gonna pay for it in the long run if you don't.
Well, that may be the case, but we
And there's-
can only work with the resources that we have available to us. We do have a lot of constraints, being a small poor county. And I'm sure if you turn around and talk to the sheriff's department, they would like to have a lot of resources that they can do their jobs better. But they know that they're not in the budget, we can't afford them.
A lot of people just don't realize what the big beautiful bill did. Vincennes was the worst in the area, they lost 66%, Sullivan lost 44%, I think the county, did you lose 34%? They just lost 1/3 of their budget completely, so they're trying to keep the lights on here at the courthouse.
What they're doing is trying to shift that tax burden from the state
People, because we're gonna raise your tax somewhere else.
to put it on the local. And that's all that was just shifting of the tax burden to who was gonna take the blame.
And not trying to cut this short, but we could sit here and talk all night about things that we can't change.
I just have a question, one question. So with this being outsourced to people in different states even, our town.
Hopefully they spend a lot of money while they're here.
Well,
Where are they gonna
so
stay?
where are they gonna stay?
Probably here.
Do we have a place for them to stay? Do we have, like, I've worked several turnarounds. I know exactly what happens after you've worked 7/12s and what you do on the 12s you don't work. Do we have a police force that's prepared for that?
We can't afford to hire a
And
police.
are we ready for the repercussions of the town that they're gonna be coming to?
Which town are they coming to, so we can get ready?
I don't know, where are they gonna stay? Sullivan has one hotel.
You know, that's the thing, most of those people are probably gonna spend most of their money in Oxford, Vigo County, because we don't read enough housing for 2,700 people.
They may have to stay in campers out the fairgrounds, because we have no ordinance, no campers there.
Of course, they're looking right out the fairgrounds, for sure.
Or not the fairgrounds, but the lake, I'm sorry.
I was saying fairgrounds.
They might be willing
Here's
to.
Meg.
Where you get the
That way
money?
we can make some money.
Yeah.
So,
All revenue sources.
and then one more thing. So like on the EDA that the commissioner signed, it says that the 15 acres was donated for a firehouse or a government building, and it says that it shall be used for a government building or a firehouse. When do you have to build that building?
Well, if it was in an agreement, and not trying to pass the buck, and that's what this answer is gonna sound like, but if it was an agreement that was signed by the commissioners, you're talking to the wrong people.
So do you guys get any say in what goes out there?
I had a lot to say on that fire department, because we have one in New London and we have one in Merritt. If they wanna fund it, help them.
Because it says you shall build something, so what happens if you don't build something?
Well, I would say, in speculation, I mean, the worst thing is they take their 15 acres back. What else they gonna do?
Don't have an answer to your question.
Okay, since you brought that up, have you started training what's remaining in the fire departments in the area? How to handle these solar fires?
Okay, I'm a survey the Lord again.
There you
Are you a
go.
fire department trainer? Are you a
No.
fire department trainer? How about you?
But there was an
How about you?
agreement with the solar company that they were gonna do
Yes.
this. Now, that's where
Give
I'm
me a
getting
second.
back.
Okay.
Give me a
That's where the
second.
policing's not happening.
All right, so go ahead.
At the last fire chiefs meeting,
Uh,
they did have a discussion point that, and I don't know if it's Fairbanks or Thunderbird, I'm assuming the two of them are working together, and there was already some solar fire training planned for the month of May, date to be determined. So that is,
And I
that is
haven't
in process through the fire department.
I haven't attended these meetings, this is my first one, but I'm just now kind of trying to, now that I'm retired, I have more time.
Must
We
be
have
nice.
a lot of people asking.
There's your hire right there.
You wanna become my secretary, 'cause I'm trying to do 3 jobs.
You know, I would, but I'm a little when I retire,
I'm a long
so.
way from retirement.
They don't have any money, so it'll be free.
Yeah, it'd be a volunteer position.
Hey, if nobody else has anything that we can productively accomplish tonight, I would entertain a motion to adjourn so we can get home before the next round of storms moves through.
I'll make it.
Correction, I have to go back to work before the next storm.
There you go. Have fun with that.
Go to work second shift.
Make a motion.
I make a motion.
Right, meeting adjourned, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm just not.
Yeah, I think-